All right, what's up, my peeps? Joshua Smith here with another GSD Mode podcast weekly real estate tip, where every single week I come to you sharing information, tips, tactics, and strategies that I've learned on my 20-year-long now real estate journey that have allowed me to become one of the top realtors, team leaders, and broker owners on the planet, selling well over 7,000 homes, as well as with coaching and mentoring over 5,000 agents, team leaders, and broker owners. Things that I've learned, sharing them with you here on the GSD Mode podcast with hopes that you can take this knowledge, you can take this information, you can go out there and implement it in your own business, in your own life. So you can go out there and create the business and life that you truly want and truly know that you deserve. And so you can go out there and dominate at making those goals a reality and get shit done GSD mode inside your own life and business. All right, so today I'm here to talk to you about stop doing things the hard way and then sharing with you what the easy way is. Now, when I say this, I know a lot of people might look at this and I know sometimes, with these, when we at first glance or when we first hear these things, we can think, oh, it's just clickbait, but it's not. I know I've said that then my actual last podcast too, when I talked about, do less in your real estate business to go out there and close more or sell more homes. But they're not clickbait. Right. So in this way too, there are two different paths that you can go out there and take. You got the hard way and you got the easy way. And why am I bringing this up? Because as you may be aware, unless you're brand new, this is your first GSD Mode podcast you've ever watched or have ever listened to. But if you've been watching or listening to the podcast for some time, you know that I've been offering these limited time free coaching strategy calls that I'm stopping September 7th. So by the way, if you do want to book one of these and schedule one of these, you better do it soon because they're going to be stopping here very, very soon. Not that I don't love doing them. I really love doing them. I love helping and supporting you guys. They've just been taking about 6 hours of my day and I can't, and I've always said from day one that this is going to be a limited time. So, I wanted to do them while so many people are struggling, but at some point they have a stop and I've had to set that as the hard date. So if you want to schedule that, you can go to www.gsdmode.com/Zoom call. I got no agenda with these. I'm just here to jump on an hour-long Zoom call with you, help coach you, help you make sure that you know exactly what you must do to get from where you're at to where you want to go, can remove all that guesswork, give you that clarity that you need to boom, go out there and take action. But doing these, and not just doing these, I've had to discover this in my own business. I used to do things the hard way. As a team leader, I got to go out there and coach and make sure that my agents are kicking ass. And they don't do this as often as I used to because they're able to plug into what I know now today. But this is something that I see all the freaking time. People doing it the hard way. What do I mean by this? Look, I don't care how hard you are sprinting. If you are sprinting east to chase the sunset, you're never going to see it. Yeah, you gotta work and you gotta, but hey, maybe you don't need to be sprinting. Again, I don't care how hard you're sprinting. If you're sprinting east to chase sunset, you're not going to see it. So maybe you just got to go in the right direction. Got to make sure you're heading west, but maybe you can just kind of have a slow, steady walk. Yeah. Right. And go out there and see it. Maybe all of that exhaustion of all of that insane effort wasn't necessary. So I see this a lot where I'll talk to, individual real estate agents as an example that are closing, let's just say 2 deals a month on average, but are working 60-hour weeks. And I'm like, look, man, you are doing things the hard way. When I break this down, it's like, okay, like if you're closing one home a week or one home a month, that should be as the individual agent, right? So saying if you're solo agent, not saying team lead, broker owner, or, a bunch of staff, support system, saying individual agent where you're wearing all the hats, right? Okay, 1 deal a month should be like a 10-hour work week. 2 deals a month, 20-hour work week. 3 deals a month, 30-hour work week. 4 deals a month, 40-hour work week. Now I'm not saying that people are lying. I used to do it and I see other people doing it all the time and they truly are putting in that effort and that amount of work, but they're like running with they're running against the wind. They have so much unnecessary resistance. And usually it's found in strategy. It's usually found in 3 things. They have the wrong strategy. They have the wrong processes, or they haven't developed the right skill sets. And sometimes it's a combination of all 3 of those things. But okay, you got the hard way to do it where it's going to take a shit ton more energy, a shit ton more effort than is necessary. Or you got the easy way to do it. You ever watch somebody that just makes something look so easy? And a lot of times in life, we sit there and think that person is just gifted, but usually they're not gifted. It's like Michelangelo, the famous, artist. He had a quote at one time that said, if people saw how hard I had to work to gain my mastery, I'm going to butcher this quote, but it's something like people saw how hard I had to work to gain my mastery, wouldn't seem so special at all. Yeah, right. Or again, I'm totally butchering that. You can go Google it, but with that, to say that again, we see, like sometimes I'll get people at a speaking event that'll come up to me after the event and they'll be like, "Oh man, you're just such a great speaker. You got this gift to be a great speaker." And I'm like, look, what they don't know is when I decided to start doing public speaking, because I'm so introverted, I had to go join Toastmasters for a year. And that didn't allow me to become a good speaker. That just allowed me to face my fear, because I was forced in a situation every single week to get up in front of a group of people to go out there and deliver a speech. Then I had to go out there and just start volunteering to speak on as many stages, whatever. And it took in tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of reps. So yeah, this person comes, sees me after my 1,000th freaking presentation on a stage, and they're like, "Oh man, you got such a gift." I'm like, well, and I see what they're saying. I take it as the compliment that it is, but it's not a gift. So often what we think is a gift, because people might make it look so easy, is they put in the work to go out there and master that thing. So then now, yeah, to them, it is easy. They can do it easily, but they put in that time and energy. So then it looks easy, and it indeed is easy when it comes to that, so here's an example with this. So years ago, my wife and I decided to go, buy this gazebo. I don't know. I mean, it's a long time ago, but from Home Depot or Lowe's, can't remember where we got it, but like to put it up in the backyard, and so I go out there, I'm looking at, the instructions a little bit with it. And it's like, first thing was like, oh, it's recommended that you have 3 people. And I'm like, oh, well, shit, my ego kicking in. I'm like, man, I'm the equivalent of 3 people. I can do this by myself, but then from there, I just didn't really follow the instruction, just nonchalantly, kind of glanced at him here and there, but I was like, I got this. This is fucking easy. Like, I'll put this thing together. It took me about 12 hours to get the whole thing together. And then at the last piece that I was putting on, realized that I put it together backwards. So I had to strip it all the way apart. Like after 12 hours, and then it took me about another, hour to strip it apart. So I got 13 hours into this thing. That was the hard way. Then I was like, okay, let me just follow the instructions, follow the directions precisely to a T. So then I did that, and it took about 2.5 hours to put together, and was perfect. So start off the hard way. And when I say these things, like I'm not, trying to make anybody feel bad because they're doing things the hard way. Like that was me. I had, like I just got sick and tired of doing the hard way. Because here's the thing. If you ever experienced burnout is not from working hard. Hard work does not create burnout. And if you go out there and study, human behavior and have conversations with psychiatrists, like this is coming from them, not from me. Yeah. Right. So the number one reason that burnout exists, again, isn't from the hard work. Burnout exists when you're putting in all this work, but you're not seeing that positive feedback back from that work, right? You're not getting the outcome that was expected. So putting in all this work, but then shit, you're not getting this outcome. So I was speaking with a gentleman just, not too long ago, who, he's like, man, I got my business prospecting based. And I'm not saying they got to be prospecting based. There are 1,000 ways to go out there and grow your business, right? But he's like, man, I'm just, the comment was, I'm tired. And I said, okay, well, are you tired from the prospecting, or are you tired because you're doing all this prospecting, but right now with your current situation, you're struggling? And then I followed that up with, my guess is, if you were banging out $50,000, $60,000 a month consistently, which is 100% possible for an individual agent, that work wouldn't feel so difficult and so exhausting to you, because now the reward, the fruit is matching the labor that you're putting in. So burnout is not from hard work. I want you to know this and understand this, because so many people get this wrong. It's not the work, right? People come to me all the time like, dude, you work so much, you work so hard, be careful, you go to burn out. I'm like, I don't fucking burn out, because I get the reward and I get the fulfillment from the work. Like I'm more stressed. Like taking a vacation is harder for me than work, right? Because and when I say I love what I do, there was a time when I didn't love it, but when I didn't love it, or I experienced that burnout, right? It was when I was putting in a shit ton of energy and a shit ton of, putting in all this input, but not getting any output, or not getting the output I expected, or I'm still struggling, right? So when we're not seeing the reward from the effort that we are putting in, boom, it leads to burnout. So then from there, we're going out there, we're working our ass off, doing all of these things. And then we start getting it, not just, exhausted from the work, but then the burnout kicks in, and that's the hard way, right? So the easy way, and I'm not saying that you don't have to go out there and work, right? But you'll be able to work a lot less for more money. You won't be as exhausted. You won't experience burnout. None of those things. Like you'll start to enjoy what you do, and it'll just you can go out there and maybe doing 20 hours a week. What's taking you 60 hours, so you can work less. Now you can choose to go out there and work more, just make that much more money. Make 3 times the amount of income or 4 times the amount of income. That choice is yours. Right. So I'm going to walk you through 2 frameworks on how you can go out there and work easy, not hard. Now, when you think of the word framework, just think of a formula. Like this is just a formula, framework, another word for a formula, an equation. So the first one I want to walk you through is this, and both of these need to come together. If you want to do things the easy way, both things must come together, right? So we got the success framework, and then I'm going to walk you through the mastery framework. Now, when I say the hard way and the easy way, you're going to have to put in hard work in other areas, right? So you're going to have put hard work in making sure that you got the right instructions. Like with that gazebo, like, okay, I had to put in different work. Before I was like, I'm just going to throw these away and just build this shit. Right. Now, the second time, I had to pay attention to them. I had to read them. I had to make sure they understood them, right? And then I had to follow them, but then it made the overall journey a shit ton easier, right? Okay, so first one is the success framework. So this starts off, so again, think of this as a formula and equation, right? So it starts off with clarity. You got to get clarity on what you want, why it's important to you. So what you want is the goal. The why you want it, why it's important to you is the purpose for the goal. Anytime we want any element of behavior change in our lives, you must have a target, and then have that target or have a purpose alongside with that target. Like you got to want to change. You got to know what, like this becomes really important. I know I beat this to death on the podcast, so I'm going to leave that right there. But get clarity on what you want, why you want it, why it's important to you. The next step, so it's clarity plus decision to fully commit. So once you got clarity of what you want, why it's important to you, you got to make that decision that you are fully committed to seeing this thing through and making this thing a reality. This will also make sure that you understand the sacrifice that you have to put in to make sure that you know what you're signing up for and that you're willing to go out there and put in the necessary work, because commitment is taking the necessary action steps that are necessary to make your goal a reality, regardless of the emotional state. Right now, then from there, so we got clarity plus decision to fully commit plus identify the best proven plan to get you from where you're at to where you want to go. Now, the only way that we can identify the best proven plan to get from where we're at to where we want to go is we got to know it's easy to figure out where we're at right now. Okay, man, I'm making X amount, I'm struggling this way, or, I'm not happy with my results or whatever that may be, right? So it's easy to figure out where we're currently at. Got to deal in reality where we're currently at, but we got to know where we want to go, right? We got to know what that target is, what that goal is. Now, I'm not saying that you got to have some monumental life purpose, but at least for that thing that you're trying to achieve, like you got to know, again, what that goal and purpose is, for that goal. So now you've got you got the North Star, you got the compass. Now then we got to identify the best proven plan to get you from where you're at to where you want to go. And this is where so many people go wrong, right? Is they don't take the time to slow down, do their due diligence, do the research to identify the best proven plan to get from where they're at to where they want to go. So you got to do that, right? So, and the cool thing is people create the success they want to create. Other people, the example I gave, like other people built that gazebo, they gave me the blueprint, they gave me the plan. Like point A was, okay, I want this gazebo up. It's in the box. I don't have shit right now. It's, I'm just sitting in this box. Okay. Where I wanted to go, that's where I was at. Where I wanted to go was, man, I want to have this gazebo together so we can start using a family and, drink coffee in the morning underneath there, put the furniture under there, right. Whatever, well, they had the proven plan of how to get from that point, point A to point Z of where I was at. Right. So identify the right, best proven plan to get you from where you're at to where you want to go. Now, the next step, so the next plus is then consistent execution of the plan that you must execute on. So you got to consistently execute on the plan to go out there and boom, create the success that you want to create. And if you do that, we put that formula together. So clarity plus decision to fully commit, plus identify the right proven plan, plus consistent execution, boom, now you've created success, right? So that is step number one, is following this success framework to step number one on the path to the easy way. The next framework is the mastery framework, because not only do we have to have the right proven plan, right? Like we got to master this stuff. Like we got to make sure that we understand it. We got to make sure that we master it. We got to make sure that like we're an execution machine on this thing, so we can do it at the highest possible level, right? So because mastery is just skill, like acquiring new and better skill sets. Your current behaviors, your current actions. Now if you go out there and just do the success framework, okay, you'll probably have more success and it'll be easier than what you're doing right now. But man, if you want to take it to true easy street where this shit just feels effortless, right, then boom, you also got to follow the mastery framework. So the mastery framework is the formula to master anything. So, okay, step number one, the beginning of the formula starts off with identify. So what you got to ask yourself is this one singular question. Okay, based on, now that you've identified the right proven plan to get you from where you're at to where you want to go, okay, then based on that, you got to ask yourself, okay, what is the biggest current hurdle? What is the current biggest obstacle that I am struggling with? That if I get this dialed in, it will make the biggest immediate impact on my overall business and get me to that next stage. So then, boom, we've identified that. So now we know that thing to focus on. One of the issues that so many people have when they're trying to master things is they don't have a singular focus when it comes to mastery. They don't have intent. They don't have purpose for this mastery. So they end up just like, okay, I talk to people all the time that are just reading books. And then they're like, oh, I'm reading this book right now. And they'll ask, well, why are you reading that book? Oh, I came recommended from this person. Okay, well, that's her, I'm back in questions. Well, is that, is that book specifically leading to solving a problem that you're currently experiencing that is going to give you the tools and the knowledge and the skill sets to solve that problem, to take your business life to the next level? And it's just kind of like, well, I don't know, man. I just heard it was a good book. So most people's self-development ends up being wasted time, no different than binging some bullshit on Hulu or Netflix or, whatever element of entertainment time, because they don't have intention to this. Every element of your self-development, AKA your mastery, AKA skill set acquisition, should serve a purpose and be solving a live problem that you need to solve in, live problem, live obstacle, right, that you are experiencing. And this does a couple things, right? So it makes sure that you are solving a current problem to get your business and our life to the next level. But at the same time, as you are learning live time, you're going to be able to relate it to the problem that you're experiencing. Teacher appears, you've heard the old proverb, right? The teacher appears when the student is ready, right? This makes sure that you are ready, because this is a problem that you are looking to actively overcome. So you're experiencing it. That's why that proverb exists. Right. Until that person is facing that specific adversity or that piece of advice or thing applies to them in their life. And by taking it and then implementing it will have a positive impact or outcome. Sorry, I was merging two words there with my speech. Then boom, right. That's why that saying exists in the first place. This is just allowing you to make sure that you're the student to receive the right message from the right teacher at that time. So step number one is identify. The next step, so then identify plus study, right? So then now we got the next step. Now that we've identified this thing, now we need to study it. Why do I say study versus learn? Most people today passively learn. So what did you do? Like if you think back to high school or college or whatever or maybe your real estate, or maybe that's bad, but whatever, like, okay, you studied that, you were highlighting it, you were underlining it, you were taking notes on it. And why? Because you knew you were going to be tested on this information. Now you may not have retained that knowledge, but you retained it for long enough to go out there and get the outcome that you wanted and needed, right? So in the business world, in real estate, we're not taking physical, like written exams. You're not getting like an A grade, B grade, C grade GPA. Your test is your freaking bank account. Your test is, how many units you're actually closing, how much money are you stocking away, putting in the freaking bank, right? That is the test. So I'll talk to people all the time. They're like, oh man, I'm good. And then, but then, they'll allow themselves to deceive themselves, to almost be delusional, where they're like, oh, my skill set is, I don't know, maybe they rate their skill set an 8 on this thing. And, like they're confident in their ability, all of this, but then they're broke. And I'm like, okay, well then like you're failing the test, dude. Like you failing the test. So you don't know it as well as you think that you know it. Right. So, okay. The reason why study is so important is because you have to study something, not just passively learn it, but you have to study it. So then that way you can understand it. So the next step of the mastery framework is understand. So far we got identify plus study plus understand. So until you truly understand something, you cannot implement that thing effectively and go out there and get the proven outcomes that you want to go out there and get. So we want to study until the point where we truly, truly understand it. And how do you know you truly understand it is like, look, you can go out there, maybe you're, I don't know anything about that topic. And now you can teach it to me so I can grasp it. I can understand it. How you always know something, you truly understand something is you can teach it to others. One of the reasons why I love, coaching and teaching and, speaking is makes me just to forces me to understand my shit at a higher level. Like there's nowhere to hide, right? So then once we understand it, truly understand it, then it takes us to the next level of the mastery framework, which is implement. Cannot implement anything effectively until you truly, truly understand that thing. And then from there, if we do that, then boom, we get the proven results. So it's identify plus study plus understand plus implement. That equates to proven results. So when it comes down to us executing on that right proven plan to get us to A to Z, right, then we need to apply this mastery framework to the plan that we're executing on. You hear me talk about this a lot in the podcast, but or this particular podcast. But the quickest way to 2x, 3x, 4x, 5x your business is not to 2x, 3x, 4x, 5x your hours. It's to get 2x, 3x, 4x, or 5x better at the things that you're already doing. So then in the same amount of time, you're 2x and 3x in the same amount of energy and effort, like you're getting 2, 3, 4x of the result. Because now you're really mastering, you're dialing in the processes. Like I said earlier, when I see somebody that is, doing half or a third of the business they should be doing in the hour allocation that they're putting inside their business, dude, it's always either a strategy issue, a process issue, or a skill set issue. This allows you to kind of plug the holes in all of those things. Now, this also takes making sure that you're tracking your data, tracking your numbers. It's very difficult to master your craft when you don't know what to master. Like when we're tracking our execution of the game, right? Or tracking the execution of our plan. Now we know the areas that we can identify those areas. Like I said, step number one of the mastery framework is identify. That allows you to identify those areas, to go out there and apply the mastery framework too, right? Okay. So I know this sounds like a lot of work, and it is, but it's a hell of a lot less work than the vast majority of people in our industry are doing. Maybe then that if you're somebody that's struggling with this, you feel like, man, I'm working so hard, but I'm not getting the reward I should be getting. Okay. You're choosing the hard way. You can choose the easy way if you want to. Yeah, right. Now, does that mean though, like you're going to have to operate with more intention? Does that mean that you're going to have to use, like your brain power a little bit more? Yeah. Yeah, right. Like this is when people say, okay, the saying out there of, work smart, not hard. Now, I'm never one to say that, there's different seasons where we have to work hard, right? But I'm like, dude, like what we got to do is we got to really work hard on working smart. And if we work hard on working smart, that allows us to work really smart, where then we don't have to work all that hard, and then even when we have to put in a little bit more hours, because we're able to get such a higher outcome, we don't experience burnout then. I can tell you that from personal experience. And this isn't just coming from me, from personal experience. Right? Like this is the number one reason why there's a burnout that I shared with you earlier. When you study psychiatry and psychiatrists are working with patients on this, that is the number one reason that leads to burnout, and how to go out there and solve it, coming from mental health professionals. Yeah. Right. All right. So hopefully this is helpful. My recommendation is to go out there and do it the easy way versus the hard way. And if you don't know how to identify the best strategy plan for you, and you're still lacking clarity on that, that's why I created these free coaching calls, Zoom coaching calls with me. What's going to be you and I on a Zoom call for an hour for 60 minutes. I'm going to break down, I'm going to get the clarity out of you. I'm going to then deliver to you the strategy plan to get you from where you're at to where you want to go. Now, you're still going to have to go out there and master it, right? But I'll at least tell you, you'll at least know what to do. You'll be able to know what to focus on. You'll at least have the blueprint to eliminate all of that guesswork. So if your business is not exactly where you want it to be, I highly encourage you, while it's available, because these are going to have a hard stop September 7th. So I highly encourage you to schedule a 100% free Zoom coaching call with me personally. Go to www.gsdmode.com/Zoom call, www.gsdmode.com/Zoom call. I have no agenda for these calls other than to serve and support and help you and our amazing GSD mode audience at the highest possible level. So there's no pressure. There's no like hard sell crap at the end where I'm trying to, hard sell you and make you feel guilty and oh, you got to work with me as a coach. Like I don't do any of that BS. Like we're going to just get you dialed in at the very end of the coaching call. Yeah, I'm going to spend a couple minutes making sure that you have awareness of, hey, look, I do have some coaching programs. If you think that they might help you, whether it's now or any point in the future, that we just have awareness that they exist. But I'm not gonna hard. That's not my style. Yeah, right. You have my word on that. So if you're like, well, I want to do this, but man, I've done these before. Man, I just got talked into buying some coaching. I'm not going to talk you into shit. The only thing I'm going to talk you into, hopefully, is taking different action than you've taken before in the past on the plan that we deliver, so you can go out there and turn your situation around. Because I can deliver the plan, but if you don't do the work to make the plan a reality, then it's not gonna do you any good. Yeah, right. So when I say talk you into it, I'm just gonna hopefully get you sold on why you should be taking action, on this plan. That's all free. Yeah, right. Like, that has nothing to do with, the coaching element. And like I said, I'll spend a couple minutes. Here's what I got. It's for you. Cool. If not, that's okay too. We can still be friends. Honor talking with you. Go out there, crush it, kick ass. That's it. Right. So anyway, www.gsdmode.com/Zoom call if you want to take advantage of that. All right, guys, truly appreciate you. Much love to you all. Keep crushing it. We'll see you next time. Peace.